The Tragic Tale of the Ghost Train. If you travel to the steamworks nearby Crobin's Gate, you might meet a clever little red engine and his clumsy yellow crane. Their names are Victor and Kevin. Their job is to help the workmen maintain the engines and rolling stock for proper use. Victor is a kind, sensible leader at the steamworks, always willing to do a good job and help get his engines back in working order. And Kevin? Well, let's say Kevin's trying. One October morning, Percy was visiting the steamworks. He was having his wheels polished. The green engine was chatting away with Kevin when Victor rolled up. "Hello, my friend. I hope you're having a good stay." "Yes, everything's going well, Victor." "That's good to hear. So, Kevin hasn't been giving you any issues?" "I'm standing right here, boss." "Nope, everything's been fine, Victor. I guess this time of year just gets me into a good mood. It always reminds me of the time I spooked Thomas as the ghost train." "Ghost train? What are you talking about, Percy?" "Oh, the story of the ghost train is something my driver told me a long time ago." "I don't believe I've heard of this ghost train story. Care to tell?" "Yeah, come on, Percy!" Alright. I guess I don't have anything else to do." And this was the story Percy told. A long time ago, on a branch line off the coast of Brighton, worked a little tank engine. It didn't have a name, only a number. 13. 13 was an experimental engine, a combination of many different classes of engine. And unfortunately, the parts didn't work very well together, making 13 quite the rough rider. But he loved it. Many of the engines assumed him a jinx, and he might as well have been with how he acted. 13 could often be seen racing down the line at dangerous speeds and giving no respect to railway safety. One day, 13 was resting in the workshed when an older engine arrived. He was an E2 class engine and wanted to talk some sense into the saddle tank.
"If you don't get your act together, you won't last long on this railway, 13,
the engine would say, but 13 would just laugh. "Ha! What would you know? We experimental engines can do anything!" And with that, 13 arrogantly rolled out of the shed and wheezed steam at the old engine. Later that week, everything was going according to schedule. The engines were on time and the passengers were happy. Until 13 had entered the yard far too quickly and rammed into the back of one of the other engines. 13 had bashed his buffers in, messed with his running board, and even snapped off his coupling. The yard manager was not amused.
Just look what you've done, you stupid engine. I'll be sending you to the sidings until we know what to do with you."
And for a full month, 13 stayed in the sidings, watching the other engines rush around doing his work. For his sake, it should have stayed that way. But there was a last-minute passenger train, and with no other engines, 13 was assigned to pull it. He was happy to get out of the sidings. With a loud peep from his whistle, 13 rolled out of the siding to go collect his coaches. As usual, 13 rushed into the station, slamming the coaches hard. Sounds of thudding luggage and angry passengers came from the coaches, but 13 didn't care. The guard blew his whistle, and with that, 13 left the station. Night soon fell as 13 raced at reckless speeds across the countryside. 13 began to chuckle to himself. "Silly old fusspots, silly old yard manager, silly everyone. Don't they know I'm a really useful engine? I can do anything." As 13 approached the bridge, no one knows what happened next. One moment, he was on the rails. the next. The next day, workmen came to inspect the rails, but there was nothing wrong with them. Then they inspected the coaches. There was nothing wrong with them either. And at the bottom of the ravine, there was nothing. No sign that the engine had even fallen. No scrap, no metal, nothing. Eventually, they gave up the search, announcing 13 dead. Few knew him, fewer cared. 13 became little more than just a bad memory. That was until the same night, a year later, several railway workers reported a mystery engine racing down the line at dangerous speeds. Despite their claims, the railway workers at the next station reported no engines had passed by. Despite the vigilant claims of those who said that they saw the engine, most wrote it off as their minds playing tricks on them due to a lack of sleep. That was until the very next year, similar reports came of a mystery engine racing down the line. Many write off this ghost train as simply an urban legend, but to those who believe, they state that it is the ghost of 13, trying to reach its final destination, but it always fails when it reaches the bridge, due to its own pride and arrogance. And every year, on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul. Percy suddenly let off his whistle, getting his audience's attention. So, Victor, Kevin, what did you think of the story? It was amazing, my friend. It was spectacular. It's also completely made up, said a voice from across the yard. Are you done telling your driver's old ghost story, Percy? Percy looked puzzled. Thomas, what are you doing here? I'm here collecting a special train to take to Farquhar, which is where you should be going. Toby and I have been working our buffers off trying to cover for you. In case you've forgotten, the Fat Controller depends on me to run my branch line effectively, and I can't do that if you're always messing about. And with that, Thomas rushed off to go collect his train. Why do you put up with that, Percy? He's my best friend. What can you do? Besides, Thomas just doesn't like when I bring up the ghost train. So, I take it there is no ghost train? Well, technically not. My driver said there was an accident at that bridge. He heard about it on television and said the engine was never recovered, but that's all I know for sure. I see. Well, my friend, I better get back to work. Nice talking with you. Come on, Kevin. Come in, boss. See you later, Percy. Percy smiled. He loved telling his ghost story, even if he knew ghosts were nothing but silly make-believe. Right?